Better was written largely by Paul, who related to Beatles biographer Hunter Davies at the time that the weather was getting better, and it reminded him of a story. Drummer Jimmy Nicol was filling in at the time for a sick Ringo. At every concert, John and Paul would ask him how he was getting on. All that Jimmy would ever say was, "It's getting better." Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was inspired by a drawing from John's son Julian and had nothing to do with LSD. John stated that the lyrical images were from Alice in Wonderland. The song was initially banned from BBC airplay because of the LSD acronym. Listen closely, and you'll hear George Harrison on sitar in this song, which can be overlooked at times. A Day in the Life, usually voted in the top 5 of fans' favorite Beatles songs, is largely considered the album's masterpiece, if not the band's. It changed popular music, especially rock, forever. A full orchestra was brought in to play on the track, 40 musicians in all. George Martin, also known as the fifth Beatle, helped to translate what the band wanted to achieve out of the orchestra. Both Paul and Martin took turns leading the orchestra. Oddly, there is no mention of George Harrison playing on the track, although there are pictures of him in the studio at the time during the recording of the song. It was John, Paul, Ringo, and Mal Evans sharing 3 pianos and striking that ever-famous E major chord together, giving the song its signature ending. The title track, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, was Paul's brainstorm. Hunter Davies is quoted in the book The Beatles' Lyrics, saying that from what he saw, Paul was the driving force for the whole album, including the cover design. It was Paul who seemed to have taken the lead role, having the final say on most decisions. Paul introduces the listener to the band. The manuscript for the song is in Paul's hand. This may be one of the most straightforward recorded Beatles songs, leaving no doubt about its meaning. The announcer, Paul, tells the audience a little about the fictitious band's group and how they have been going in and out of style. The band steps up and introduces themselves and express how happy they are to be playing for such a lovely audience. The reprise at the end of the album does the reverse and thanks the audience and hopes they enjoyed the show. According to McCartney, he and the Beatles roadie Mal Evans were eating on a plane back from the band's last United States tour in 1966. Evans said, "Pass the salt and pepper." McCartney, distracted by the plane's noise, thought he had heard Sgt. Pepper. When Evans repeated himself, McCartney realized it was just salt and pepper, but he found the idea of a Sgt. Pepper intriguing. He later said the name stuck because it sounded like a cool character and fit the fictional band concept he was developing. George's contribution, The Revolutionary Within You Without You, was written one night after dinner at Klaus Vormann's on Vormann's pedal harmonium. According to George, the tune came first. The song's lyrics and structure are rooted in Hindu philosophy and Harrison's deepening interest in Indian spirituality after his 1966 stay in India with sitar teacher Ravi Shankar. Harrison has said he was fed up with all this me plus I stuff and wanted to focus on the most important things in life. The song's message is that external fame, status, and identity are a wall of illusion. Lasting change begins inside neon music. George is the only Beatle playing on the song. Indian session musicians were hired to play on the track. Within You Without You is often seen as Harrison's declaration of independence from the Beatles' collective identity, musically and philosophically. One of my favorite songs on the album is Fixing a Hole. I love the melodies that flow out of this song, and the song is credited to Lennon McCartney, though McCartney wrote it primarily. There is a bit of controversy on the song's actual meaning, how Paul came about writing it. One is that Paul wrote the song after repairing the roof on a Scottish farmhouse. Paul McCartney explained that the song uses a metaphorical hole, representing distractions or mental blocks that prevent creative freedom. He described it as an analogy for repairing one's inner life and allowing the mind to wander freely. Beatles road manager Mal Evans, by some accounts, has been told to have helped write the song and paid for his efforts, but not given official credit. Whatever the story may be, the song is noted for its introspective lyrics, harpsichord-driven arrangement, and its place within the innovative soundscape of Sgt. Pepper. It remains one of McCartney's distinctive contributions to the album's philosophical and experimental tone. And we can't talk about the album without talking about When I'm 64. It's hard to believe that Paul McCartney composed the melody in Liverpool in April or May of 1956 when he was roughly 15 years old. It was the first track recorded for Sgt. Pepper and was originally intended as a B-side to Strawberry Fields Forever. McCartney performed a piano version of the song in the Cavern Club era when the Beatles' amps failed, and they found it a quick crowd pleaser. The lyrics are sung from the perspective of a young man imagining growing old with his lover. The Beatles recorded the song in December 1966 during early sessions for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. There you have it. 1967. The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, at the time, had become the nation's best-selling album.